said before when I was asking a question that what we were seeing was leading to civil war amongst our communities, and I don't want to see that. So to me, it's been really, really important that we have cleared the deck on this. You do have the statutory responsibility for setting the structure and the way in which councillors are working within the structure, Mr Mayor. And moving forward, I think that we need to understand that sometimes bringing daylight to difficult issues is a good thing. And we need to ask ourselves, are we abusing the workshop process? You know, the perception has been too many secret meetings, we're not hearing what's going on. We need to think really hard about our processes to give that confidence back to the public, to give them the confidence that amalgamation has been a good thing, and that we can deliver in collaboration and partnership with central government in Auckland that is going to do the rest of New Zealand proud. So I thank all of those councillors who today have understood the need for confidence in this council. This is in no way disrespectful to any of the officers, but you know, we do not want to be having legal advice delivered at the very last minute. From here on in, I'd like to think that we are going to have contestable policy advice on everything. And that way we get it right. And that way we won't have the situation that Ken Palmer points out, and that is no plan until all of the appeals are determined. It's better to take a bit more time now, get it right, and that is the confidence that we will give the Auckland public that we take democracy and our role as governors of this beautiful region very seriously. So thank you.
Point of order, Your Worship. I know we've had 3 for the recommendation. Are we going to continue having more or are we going to have 3 voices opposed to it?
Actually, Councillor Alf, on the last recommendation we had a range who were speaking for. And we went well past 3. It's my discretion.
Okay. Just asking.
And we need to round this debate out properly, so we're going to do that. Councillor Penny H.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. That's been an interesting and I think worthwhile afternoon, if not a slightly concerning one. And I guess it's no surprise I'm not going to be supporting the recommendation. But I guess, Mr Mayor, the bit that I'm left with is, you know, people are saying that there has been some good work done in the past, and I want to cite Councillor Clow raised Waitakere. Waitakere Council did do good work. We upzoned radically along the rail line. I know someone called for upzoning along the rail line, and everyone cheered. We did it out west. We are hugely ready for growth, but neither Councillor Clow or Councillor Clow wasn't there for the challenging meetings that we went to, meeting after meeting after meeting, and talked our community through this. What we weren't facing out west, though, was what we seem to have run into here is the kind of the battle for information. So, Mr Mayor, going forward, now that it appears that we are making this decision to withdraw our role in the whole zoning debate with the panel, I think we need to think very carefully about how we re-establish the facts in this matter. So we will park the hearings panel and the submitters that are left in this process will carry on. But I guess, Mr Mayor, I've heard today a lot of strong words about major upzonings, huge change and all the rest of it. When the facts are actually proffered, they don't correspond with what's being said. So I think that's our number one challenge. Let's get back to the facts right through this issue, because we've kind of lost that one. Secondly, I think there is a bit of leadership here needed, and I want to cite Julie Ferry from the Puketāpapa board. Instead of Julie leaping to, you know, hyperbole and this is terrible for my local area, Julie went to the staff, got the maps, and established that in the Puketāpapa area that I think runs into the Blockhouse Bay area, that the so-called upzoning was simply re-establishing what was then currently allowed for under the current Auckland Council plan. You know, so if we are going to try and rescue something from this, can we at least have some process where we engage with our community? People said no, and I'm sorry,
Order.
I'm getting a little bit over this. We'd like to talk. Some of us are passionately committed to engaging with our community, but we also understand the rule of law. And it's no good promising the earth, and we will allow you to have submissions. And there's been a lot of talk around this table and at that meeting where some of us voted against an extra round of submissions is because they were not legally possible. And I think, Mr Mayor, we just need to get back to being a bit more truthful. Don't promise things that can't be delivered legally. Don't promise things that are undoable from a planning position. And I think if we are going to set the record back to ground zero from here, I think we need to start with a slightly more truthful set of informations from the community, from ourselves, and from all the players in this. And I hope that we find a way to do that. Just to finish off, Mr Mayor, I'm sure people will think this has been a fantastic win today. I don't share Councillor Fletcher's feeling that the government are going to be too happy. My texts don't bear that out. So I think we need to be very cautious about how we proceed with popping the champagne bottles. I think the government may well have some very interesting comments on this. Thank you.
I think so.
Right, thank you. Councillor Penny. Councillor George.
Well, thank you, Mr Mayor. And I just wanted to briefly talk about some procedural matters, because I do believe that this has the procedural issues here is something which this council really needs to look at. And I think that to depose to the Unitary Plan Committee such monumental decisions as they had on the 10th and the 24th of November, where it was a split vote and the chairman used his casting vote to push it through, is something that needs to be looked at by this council. It's a bad process. And you know, when the decisions were made that day, as Councillor Crum has alluded to, I've been around for a few years, and I thought, gee, this is going to be a very interesting outcome. And it was, but it wasn't until I actually saw what had happened out in the eastern suburbs and had it explained, that I then realised that it was far greater than I had appreciated. But I think the issue that I want to really just mention, or two issues, natural justice. It's said that we'll tell the independent hearings panel to handle the natural justice matters. Well, I say that we as a body have got to make sure that we deal with natural justice. We must deal in a fair and reasonable manner at all times. And that's paramount as elected members. I think that's part of the oath that we take. The other issue is, when we were kind of floundering around to start with, there was a few councillors thinking what could be done. We actually looked at, with the council officers, as to whether we could rescind the motions of the Unitary Plan Committee. And Councillor Walker's nodding. And we were actually told that it would have to go back to that committee. So I'm actually very thankful for the dissertation of Mr. Palmer, Dr. Palmer here this afternoon, which reinforces my belief that the governing body of this council is the paramount body of Auckland Council, and this body can be asked to look at all matters that have been passed by other bodies within the council family. Well, maybe not be the CCOs, but within this organisation, and we can actually review things. And I think we've got to look at that further, Mr. Mayor, because you know, if the standing orders don't reflect what should be the correct procedure, I think they've got to be looked at. So I'm going to support this motion, and let's get on and we'll go home. Thank you very much.
Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I want to read a email that we received from a young man, Alistair McKenzie. I've noticed that groups such as 2040 Auckland have weighed in on this discussion and influence the opinions of some councillors on the proposed changes to the unitary plan with regards to the zoning changes which allow for 6% more three-storey apartments or terrace houses. As a young Aucklander of 28 years who works as a graduate architect, I like to push back. I'm struggling to see how I am going to enter the property market, and to have sprawl advocates asking for housing further away from town is not going to help me. They say 3 stories high is too much. This is ridiculous. There are many suburban houses at this height already. What will enable me to live my preferred lifestyle is intensification. Densification. I would much rather have seen a far stronger growth of the terrace apartment zone. More people per hectare produces far more interesting opportunities for the quality of public space, commercial, retail and hospitality. I am a proud Aucklander, and I have been involved in the Auckland Architecture Association, passionate about the success of the city centre. Please consider my perspective as representative of a silent majority, and that's exactly what the situation here is, silent majority. And through you, Chair, I had a duty when I take ownership of the votes that came through the Unitary Plan Committee, always have, and always have since 2003, since I was a councillor at Manukau City Council. So that's how long I've been in local government. And that duty, when you give me the task of chairing the Unitary Plan Committee, I took obviously seriously enough that I wanted to keep faith with the principles that were adopted at the ADC committee meeting on May 2015. Now, the councillors that have just voted for the outer scope to be removed, and I'm unsure, but this one may go through. My concern is that, at least from my perspective, I needed to keep faith with those principles, because it was all the way through there. The councillors that have voted against getting the outer scope there haven't fulfilled or failed in their duties. And I'm now more sort of really concerned that the councillors that have voted the outer scope out, I'm hoping that they will attend, because I really haven't seen them attend a unitary plan, like Councillor Lee, like Councillor Stewart, like Councillor Ross, like Councillor Wood, like Councillor Brewer, like Councillor Quacks.
Councillor Alf,
I'm just saying. Yep. Sorry, Your Worship. I'm just saying that. Look, I've got all the attendance records for the Unitary Plan Committee, so it'll be just interesting. But Your Worship, I will not be voting for this, because the Meredith Connell report is the guiding document from my perspective. So I just look forward to the attendance of the local boards as well as the councillors that have been absent. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. Councillor Cathy.
Most of it's been said, but I'd like to add my tuppence worth as a member of the Unitary Plan Committee. And I'd like to talk about the last 3.5 weeks, which have been, for everybody in this room, really tough. And we've all had the NIMBY threats and abuse. We've had the "you are anti-intensification," you block Three Kings Quarry development, you block Unitec development. Well, guess what? I'm not anti-intensification, but I want the best intensification there can be for my local community. So I just want to say that. So this is not about intensification today. It's about process, and always has been. It started at the Unitary Plan workshop, and many people, especially board members and councillors, were in the room when these 84 maps arrived. And that was 3.5 months ago. You knew this was coming, because if you tested the temperature in that room when these maps arrived, and I remember Desley standing up and saying, "You have them coming in droves," and guess what? He did. So that was 3.5 months ago. So I don't know who's doing a political audit around this council, but somebody has been missing all of this. Because for the first time, and I've been a councillor for 22 years, I was part of the Type 5, the one that went from ACT to the Alliance, that went up to see the mayor. There was Christine, there was Dick, George, Mike and me. Unheard of before. And the alliances that have formed through this, I've never done before. My friend Dick over there, we've never been so close. Kumbaya, mate, kumbaya.
A political ticket.
He's wanting to hold hands. Let's get back to the issue, because I think we did a good job today, and it's not about popping corks and having winners and losers. I think that this is our job. As a governing body, we said, we've made a bad call, and we're putting it right, and these people came to see us in action. And I think that's we had to do that. And I know it's messy, and I know that you guys will be going, I know that. We had no other options. No, I'm not we. No, sorry, Linda, not we. I had no other options. Because I was very careful in the questions I asked. So just get back to this. We tried, Denise Crum and I, another great alliance, at the Unitary Plan Committee, we tried every which way to try and get some sense out of this. We passed amendments. They were made in good faith. They might not have been possible, but we tried to get affected parties notified. No, it can't be done, but we tried anyway. We tried to get another round of public consultation. Can't be done. Tried anyway. Lost the vote. But that wasn't the end of it. I knew it wasn't. You knew it wasn't. And anybody who was in that room knew it wasn't. It was just the start. And what's so important? It's about people getting a say. I write it about in my car, and it's called, City Vision Community Voice, Your Voice in Albert Eden Roscoe. I heard a few submitters today saying these people hadn't a voice. That's our job. We've got to listen to the voice. And they were shut out of the process. It's not about the young people. I loved the contributions from the youth panel. But today wasn't about that. It was about democratic process. So I'm not anti-intensification. I'm pro-democracy. And the last thing, just the questions I asked John and the lawyers over and over again, I was quite clear in the end about it. Giving these people the option of going to the Environment Court is not an option. It's ridiculous to say. Somebody said, I think it was you, Chris, sorry, I didn't mean through the chair. I think you said you can enjoy you said enjoy an appeal to the Environment Court, because I wrote it down, enjoy an appeal to the Environment Court. So it's a wrong choice of word, because that is expensive, it's stressful, and do you know what? I know you've done it, but I know very few people who've seen that process through, and they've all got very deep pockets. And it hurts everybody. The only people who make money are the lawyers. So no, that was not the option. It's good to have it in, and somebody probably will take a case, but not as for Joe Blow public who just wants some to be heard. That's not the answer. Nothing much to say. Just it's not a champagne cork popping time, but definitely have seen a different way of working around this council chamber, and I hope that can continue into the future. And